Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you. Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Omotayo Alo. In our major stories tonight, the Supreme Court has fixed February 5, 2016 for judgment in the appeal filed by Senate President Bukola Saraki against his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal over alleged false declaration of assets. Also in this program, former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Ayem Pius Ayem, has declined claims that by online medium Sahara reporters that he is behind the ongoing pro-Biafra protest in Southeast. Persons living with disabilities demand the passage and the full implementation of the Nigerian Disability Leave. From outside Nigeria, the attackers who killed 14 people and wounded 21 more at the Social Service Center in California had a store of weapons in their home, police said. Thank you for joining us tonight. Now the news in full. President Muhammad Buhari met with Senate President Bukola Saraki at the presidential villa Abuja on Thursday. Saraki, who was wearing blue babariga, arrived for the closed-door meeting without his usual high number of aides. The meeting, which lasted for about 1 hour, was described as private. Emerging from the meeting, Saraki did not speak with journalists. No official statement has been issued concerning the meeting as at the time of filing this report. Senate President Bukola Saraki is leading a delegation of federal lawmakers to Paris, France for 2 conferences of parliamentarians from across the world on the environment. According to a statement signed by Yusuf Olaniyonu's special advisor to the Senate President on Media and Publicity, the delegation comprised members from the Senate and House of Representatives. The delegation will participate in both the Globe COP21 Legislators Summit at the National Assembly of France from December 4 to 5, and the parliamentary meeting on the United Nations Climate Change Conference organized by the Inter-Parliamentary Union and the French Parliament between December 5 and 6. The Nigerian Senate President will chair a session on December 5 with a theme Developments in National Delegation and Climate Change, Disaster Risk Reduction, Energy and Sustainable Development towards Integrated National Planning on the 2015 agenda. The delegation is expected to be back on Monday. The Supreme Court has fixed February 5, 2016 for judgment in the appeal filed by Senate President Bukola Saraki against his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal over alleged false declaration of assets. The Senate is set to confront social media operators which it claims have been peddling false information on public office holders. It says appropriate measures will be used to curb their excesses. This follows a point of order raised by Senator Dilo Melaye, Kogi West, on the modus operandi of social media in Nigeria. According to him, some online platforms have been writing false stories with the aim of undermining the Senate. My correspondent brings us details later on our midnight update. Meanwhile, the sale of the Nigerian Telecommunications, NITEL, and its mobile arm, MTEL, on Thursday took center stage in the House of Representatives. A motion moved by Representative Henry Nwawuba sought the permission of the House to investigate the terms of the sale and the use of the proceeds. Jamil Afegba reports.
Members were concerned that since the sale and subsequent takeover of the companies by NATCOM, lots of controversies have risen about the proceeds leading up to the sale. Of particular note is the alleged undervaluation of the companies prior to the sales.
A lot of controversies have been raised about the processes leading to the sale, particularly about the alleged undervaluation of their companies prior to sale. Aware of the huge revenue potential of communications, especially with Nigeria's huge population of about 170 million, and also its capacity to generate employment for the teeming unemployed population.
Disheartened about the sales of the two organizations, Minority Leader Leo Ogo expressed disappointment at the mismanagement of NITEL and the attendant capital flight the situation has created.
Where we need to call a spade is to look at how it all started. It started clearly from the privatization policies of our country, where square pegs were refused to be put in square holes. A scenario or a situation where the Bureau for Public Procurement must come into this investigation to see how we were able to squander that great investment that has facility all over the country. Every nook and cranny of this great nation had access to NITEL.
The telecom sector in Nigeria was described as too vital to Nigeria's economy by Representative Aminu Shagari, who drew comparisons with what major networks are currently making, while others are concerned that the telecom outfit still use NITEL's facilities.
What I want to say here is that Mr. President, President Muhammad Buhari also shares our concern on this very issue. Because I recall that the permanent secretary to the ministry, Mr. Tunji Olaupa, while briefing the press, said that Mr. President has asked that a memo be submitted directly to him on how the process of this privatization was done, because he was afraid that Nigeria might have been shortchanged in this process. So it is very important that we also carry out our own investigation as to how this privatization was done.
Security issues also came up as members felt Nigeria will be safer without external telecom influences. They insist that the House has to thoroughly investigate the matter.
I believe that it is important that at the end of the day that to drive home the point that this country is not a banana republic, that should be revoked. Because as far as we are concerned, there is something that is inimical about the sale of NITEL. I mean, if people are talking about asset stripping, then it's something that we have to look seriously into it.
In view with this, Mr. Speaker, I submit in totality that this motion should be passed unanimously by this Honorable House, and this investigation should go thorough and the report brought back to this Honorable House.
NITEL and MTEL were sold to a consortium, NATCOM, in December of 2014 at the cost of $242.3 million. Jamil Afegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
On the case of the Senate President that the Supreme Court has fixed February 5, 2016 for judgment in the appeal filed by Senate President Bukola Saraki against his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal over alleged false asset declaration.
It's on already.
We have argued before the Supreme Court. We have contended that 2 members of the panel can conveniently sit and legally sit as members of the tribunal in line with the constitutional provision, in line with the Interpretation Act. We have also submitted that the Code of Conduct Tribunal is a court of criminal jurisdiction, though limited criminal jurisdiction. We have also argued that we don't need to have the Attorney General of the Federation in the office before the officers of his department can legally prosecute or initiate criminal proceedings. So, and the tribunal is also empowered to issue bench warrants where the defendant failed to appear before it. So those are the issues that we have laid bare before the court. We have presented our argument. It's for the court to resolve.
It's always been our position that the Code of Conduct Tribunal is an inferior court, it's not a Section 6 court, and therefore it cannot have the inherent powers and sanctions of a court. So its resort to use of terms like bail, demand, and other things should not have applied. But we emphasize the important ones, or the very important ones, which is to the composition of the court. And that the court should not have sat with 2 members instead of 3. And the issue of the Attorney General not signing or authorizing the charge. So those are the most important.
Meanwhile, the police are seeking a new funding mechanism for the operations. Inspector General of Police Solomon Arashi said this when he received Minister of Interior Abdurrahman Dambazal at the force headquarters, Abuja. The minister for the spot urged the police to be more professional in their approach and carrying out their duties.
The visit, according to Dambazal, is to acquaint himself with the needs of the police. The chairman of the Police Service Commission, Michael Kiro, was also part of the familiarization visit. Being a critical unit of the internal security, the Internal Affairs Minister says the federal government will prioritize training and welfare of officers and men of the police. He also tasked the force to work at changing public perception about the police by being more professional in their conduct.
If we change the perception, what we end up doing is to give confidence and trust to the public. Robert Peel, the father of modern policing, he said, the public is police, the police is public. And we should stick to that. We should let the public understand that we are here to protect them. We are here to ensure public safety and security.
The minister expressed his conviction that the presence of top echelon of the police at the meeting will ensure that his message reaches the rank and file. It also provided IGRC the opportunity to push for a review of existing police funding mechanism. This success is key to achieving more success for the police.
For the nation to attain the police of our dreams, there is the need to review the funding mechanism. It is only through this that all ills attributed to the force can be addressed and performance gap closed in our policing system.
Nigerians will be waiting to see how far the focus of the current administration on economy, security and employment go in adding value to the policing across the country. From the police headquarters in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News.
We'll bring you more stories right after this break. Stay with us.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria, and the mantra is change. The wind of change is blowing all over Nigeria and beckons to you. One sure way to respond is to perform your civic duty, pay your tax. With taxes, government generates revenue to fulfill its electoral promises, ensure regular power supply, provide good security, standard education, medical care, true total change. Individuals and corporations enjoy specific benefits, rights and privileges for paying taxes and avoid the consequences and penalties of not paying. Oil revenue is no longer sufficient to bring desired change, but your tax can. It pays to pay your tax. A message from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to your husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
But some people will stand for Yoruba land. They'll be strong man. You don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Welcome. If you're just joining us, it's CoreTV Primetime News. Here is a quick reminder of our top stories. The Supreme Court has fixed February 5th, 2016 for judgment in the appeal filed by Senate President Bukola Saraki against his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal over alleged false declaration of assent. Also in this program, former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Pius Aim, has denied claims by online media Sahara reporters that he is behind the ongoing pro-Biafra protest in the southeast. Persons living with disabilities demand the passage and the full implementation of the Nigerian Disability Bill. For more than news and information, visit our social media platform, facebook.com/CoreTV News, on Twitter and at CoreTV News NG. You could get more on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV Space and News. Former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Pius Aim, has denied claims by online medium Sahara reporters that he is behind the ongoing pro-Biafra protest in the southeast. The online medium made the claims in a tweet, but Aim maintained in a statement released by his media aide Sam Onwabasi that he has no hand in the agitation. He insisted that the one-time Senate President has not sponsored and will never sponsor any protest by any group against the government. Aim's media aide also noted that his principal is not under any investigation for any of such allegation. Persons living with disabilities are demanding the passage and full implementation of the Nigerian Disability Bill. They made the call at an event to mark the International Day of Disability in Nigeria. Reports over the outcome of the investigation panel that more than $2 billion for the supply of military hardware to the Nigerian army has continued to generate outrage among the populace. On our breakfast program called Digest, the reactions are varied and full of trepidation over what has been dubbed Nigeria's arms gate. Our correspondent Victoria Solomon has the report.
In the bid to tackle corruption by the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, former National Security Advisor Colonel Sambo Dasuki, Chairman Africa Independent Television Raymond Dokwesi, and former Sokoto State Governor Atahiru Bafarawa were recently arrested by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for their alleged involvement in the $2.1 billion arms deal. The news about the arrest of the trio of Dasuki, Dokwesi and Bafarawa has been received by Nigerians and others as prelude to a comprehensive answer to questions asked.
It's very bad. It's corruption. Those are the things that spoil this country. I want to make government go to the root of the matter and deal with them according to how it's supposed to be.
If you look at now, you see queue for filling station. People are suffering, no money. About 3 people or 4 people carry billions and go away. It's not good.
Don't you think it's just something that's vindictive because of what has been happening? Because AIT chairman was against APC at that time. Because of all those publications that were made against Tinubu. How are you sure that it's not because of that?
However, this Nigerian hopes it is not a move by the ruling party to treat its opposition with disdain.
If it is true, truly, that they stole this money from the NSA cover, I want the government to bring them to book.
The big question on the recovery of fund by EFCC, these Nigerians have this to say.
I think the people should be brought to book, collect the money that they took for the arms, and use it to buy the arms. If it remains, let them channel it to other areas.
Children from universities everywhere, they are lacking jobs. They should use that money to build factories or offices for unemployed youths.
If the police collected the money back, they should face prison now. Abi, there is no Nigeria.
All eyes are on the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to ensure that the law takes its course and corruption rooted out of Nigeria. Abosede Omowi, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Well, that was actually the reactions of Nigerians on the arms deal scandal. We bring you the report which we, of course, drew from our breakfast program called Digest later on our midnight update. Meanwhile, the anticipated December 4 ruling on the case between the deputy governorship candidate of Kogi State, James Faleke, and the Independent National Electoral Commission has continued to brew more reactions. The case, which has stirred a divergence in the legal framework of the Nigerian system, has been on for over 2 weeks with many controversies. Some civil society groups have even called on the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the INEC Chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, to resign their appointment, saying the stance on the state election was discrediting. A legal practitioner, Diola Okpeyemi, not minding the alleged mistake by INEC, says the ruling cannot be predicted and that the People's Democratic Party stands no chance in being declared.
I don't know the premise on which Faleke pressed his charges. And as far as I'm concerned, I believe that the court will do justice to whatever claims he had. If his claim is based on Section 181 and Section 179, well, I doubt if he can jail. But if his case is based on the fact that INEC has already committed an error by declaring that election inconclusive, INEC ought to have corrected their mistakes. But because we are too arrogant in this nation, no institutions, no agencies of the government wanted to accept mistake, apologize, and do the needful.
The Nigerian Customs Service head, retired Colonel Ahmed Ibrahim Ali, directives of the President, has taken over the service as the Controller General. Ahmed, who has been on tour around the country from one command to another, was in Owerri Zone C Command, where he made known to the men and women of the service how we intend to lead them. Our Imo State correspondent was there and filed in this report. We'll bring you details of that report later. Meanwhile, residents of Kofa Doka in Zaria want the Kaduna State government to tamper justice with mercy with the plans to demolish 300 houses marked for demolition. The protesters, who were mostly women and children, shed tears in the course of the protest. Amina Anebi has more on this report presented from our studio.
Children whose homes have been marked for demolition. They are in tears as they made a case for the Kaduna State government to put its plans on hold. The protesters say their pains and poverty are about to be aggravated if the government goes ahead with the planned demolition. They say they have voted for change, not demolition.
We are here to fight for our rights. The state government is not giving us a fair hearing. We have met with the government and they promised that they are going to meet with us
us and resolve this problem amicably. But to our greatest surprise, they went behind us in spite of the agreement we had with the Secretary of the State Government, with whom we met and had a meeting and promised that he's going to call us back to feed us with what the resolution of the committee is. But unfortunately, on the 26th of November 2015, staff of the Kasubda stormed our area with their armed policemen, and started marking our houses and issued us letter of notice of demolition. Just 21 days. This is totally unacceptable to us. That is not what we are the ones who voted this government in. Therefore, what we want is change and not demolition. Change is what we want and not demolition. We voted the government because of the change agenda, but this government is derailing from the change agenda and heading towards agenda of demolition, which is not totally unacceptable to us in Zaria. We are the people from behind the library and fire brigade. We are not going to accept that. They are planning to destroy or demolish over 300 houses. Those houses belong to poor masses. You can see the all of us here, we are all masses. We are here ourselves, our wives and our children. No, they didn't go to school today. They didn't go to school today, and they will not continue going to school until this problem is resolved. That is our stand. We are going to take several actions. We are going to take several actions because what we want is for the government to give us a fair hearing. Fair hearing is what we want. If they don't listen to us, we have several options. One of the options that is feasible, that which we can say here, is the fact that we will consult our legal practitioners, and they'll tell us what we do. They'll give us advice on what the next line of action is going to be. But other options we are not going to mention here.
Madinat Ahmed was in tears as she pleaded for mercy. She says she will be homeless if the exercise is carried out.
We are all here. We didn't have any, maybe senator or any big person. We all are all masses. We are masses. Look at us, like Almajiri people. Look at us. Even though some people, after acquiring that land, they didn't have what to eat. Some are on loan. They haven't finished paying their money in the bank. We didn't have anything that we can do. Even though the governor go ahead and demolish our houses, we don't have anything to do. Everybody, even though on the main road, we go and sleep because we didn't have where to go. If he agreed to pay us, we vacate.
There are others who lamented bitterly over the proposed government action.
Yes, we don't have any power to fight him, but we have God. The land does not belong to the government. Yes. We bought it. We buy the house. We buy and pay. We have our genuine papers with us. My call to him is to please allow us to stay in our house.
The state government has meanwhile insisted that there is no going back on plans to recover all land illegally acquired by individuals and organizations. But many of them say they have purchased the land with their money.
At least 2 prison inmates have been shot dead, with several others injured in a jailbreak attempt at the Jalingo main prison in Taraba State. Reports say the unsuccessful prison break was as a result of the poor health condition in the prison. Udwa Godwin tells us more.
The atmosphere in and around the main prison had been changed as inmates protest poor condition. CoreTV News Reliable gathered that in the course of the protest, some of the prisoners attempted to forcefully open the gate. This made security operatives fire gunshots, which led to the death of 2 prisoners, while several others were injured. Investigations revealed that the inmates decried the poor healthcare scheme in the prison, which recently led to the death of some of the inmates. Residents who are close to the prison yard say they heard sounds of gunshots and screaming in the prison during the protest. The victims were immediately rushed to the Federal Medical Center Jalingo for treatment. Confirming the death, the deputy head of clinicals of the Federal Medical Center Jalingo, Dr. Ahmed Jwata, says 2 out of the 4 victims are dead.
The details of which I can't say, but all efforts to resuscitate them, to keep them alive, failed because the degree of injuries they sustained. 2 of them at the moment are still undergoing treatment, investigation and treatment.
Dr. Jatwa also expressed optimism that medical personnel will save the lives of the injured victims.
You know, the federal government mandates all hospitals to provide 24-hour care to victims of accidents in whatever form. So we are doing all within our best to ensure that within that period they get what is expected. However, I want to appeal also to the prison authorities to ensure that once they bring in their inmates, the appropriate drug that is prescribed for them or investigations is followed up by the authorities concerned so that they can get the best out of the system.
When contacted, the Deputy Controller of Prisons in Jalingo, James Ali, had this to say off camera.
In fact, what really happened was congestion. The issue of not going to court, and which you are all aware, the court has been on strike all this while. And if courts are on strike, there is no way we can carry them to court. It's only Federal High Court, inmate for Federal High Court that goes to court. Apart from that, no other problem. It's not problem of water. It's neither the problem of food. But congestion, like you have now, for instance, we are lucky we are about 600, and the house is meant for 250. Because of this non-court, you see people lying down and piling. That's the only problem. As far as health is concerned, we are trying our best. The state government does not treat them free of charge. I think you get it now. When we take them to Federal Medical Center, we have to pay. And the money at our disposal is not, we don't have provision for that. We get drugs from the federal government, but not too regular.
He, however, revealed that the prison is overcrowded with the number of prisoners more than its capacity. Udwa Godwin, CoreTV News, Jalingo.
We'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll bring you stories from outside Nigeria, sports, and more.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we'll bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has a right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
Welcome. And on the foreign scene, the attackers who killed 14 people and wounded 21 more at a social service center in California had a store of weapons in their home, police said. Bomb equipment, weapons and thousands of rounds of ammunition were found by police in the raid following a shootout that killed the two suspects. Authorities still have not found the motive in the attack by Said Rizwan Farouk, 28, and Tasfin Malik, 27. San Bernardino Police Chief Gerard Bourguin said that it appeared that the duo was prepared to carry out another attack. Oscar Pistorius has been found guilty of the murder of Rever Steenkamp after South African Supreme Court overturned the previous conviction of culpable homicide. Judge Eric Lynch ruled Thursday that the Paralympic gold medalist should have foreseen that his firing of a gun would have killed whoever was behind the door, regardless of whether he thought he was Steenkamp or an intruder. Pistorius' short girlfriend, Rever Steenkamp, a model 4 times, through a locked toilet door on Valentine's Day 2013, saying he mistook her for an intruder. His jail term is yet to be decided, but he faces up to 15 years in prison. And now to sports.
Power style, that's what he delivered. Here's that ball storming, Puyol with a flying lead.
Bo taking them out in the lead and
And in the world of sport, Nigeria's hope of progressing to the semi-finals of the Under-23 African Cup of Nations and the Olympic tournament in Brazil were dented by Egypt as the two sides drew 2-2 in their Group B match in Bo, Senegal. Nigeria went into the second match of their group knowing a win would be enough to go through to the last four. At halftime, they were in line for victory, leading 2-0, but Egypt came out fighting after the break, scoring twice in 5 minutes to level proceedings. A team will have to get at least a draw with Algeria for any chance of progressing. 2 FIFA vice presidents have been arrested in a dawn raid at a Swiss hotel on suspicion of accepting millions of dollars of bribes. CONCACAF President Alfredo Awiat and CONMEBOL President Juan Angel and Laporte were taken from the hotel where several FIFA officials were also arrested in May. The U.S. Department of Justice said the arrest is part of its ongoing investigation into corruption in football's world governing body. Awiat, 64, is interim president for North Central America and Caribbean football, while Laporte, 57, oversees football in the South American Confederation. They are alleged to have taken money for selling marketing rights in connection with football tournaments in Latin America, as well as World Cup qualifying matches, the Swiss Federal Office of Justice said. FIFA's Reform Committee Chairman Francio Carrot said at a news conference in Zurich that the arrests were a very important step as part of changes so FIFA can renew itself. Tiger Woods, a 14-time major champion, has sunk to world number 400 after a litany of injuries and poor form saw him tumble down the rankings. The 39-year-old was in particularly blink mood earlier on this week as he reviewed his physical condition is so bad after another back operation that he can't even bend down to pick up a ball. Woods won his last major title at the U.S. Open in 2008, but hasn't had a significant victory since lifting the Bridgestone's Invitational in 2013. He has previously suffered a serious knee ligament injury, but his back problem is proving particularly difficult and psychologically disturbing. Nollywood filmmaker Don Pedro Obaseki has declared his intention to run for Edo State governorship seat on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. In a press statement made available to newsmen, Obaseki stated his intention to take over from Comrade Adams Oshiomhole in 2016 in running the affairs of Edo State. Furthermore, he mentioned that it is time for his people to emerge from the dark abs of tainted mafia-style politics in the state. And just before we go tonight, here is a quick reminder of our top stories. We told you earlier that the Supreme Court has fixed February 5th, 2016 for judgment in the appeal filed by Senate President Bukola Saraki against his arraignment at the Code of Conduct Tribunal over alleged false Asa declaration. Also, former Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Pius Aim, has denied claims by online medium Sahara reporters that he is behind the ongoing pro-Biafra protest in Southeast. And finally, persons living with disabilities are demanding the passage and full implementation of the Nigerian Disability Bill. On behalf of the entire news crew, thank you so very much for joining us. My name is Omotayo Ado. Have a good night rest.